I've always had an interest in unconventional visual narratives. If you've seen my Cactus Kid videos, you'll know multi-platform media with an interactive element sure as heck captivates me. I will admit that I was a Homestuck reader back during the height of the webcomics popularity, and I thought that a story told via chat log was a really interesting and innovative way to tell a modern epistolary narrative. But where Homestuck was a huge online phenomenon, this video is about something a little more obscure. You know I love my niche content after all. Today, I want to talk about Live in the Future. The Instagram account @LiveInTheFuture first posted on the 28th of June 2019 and introduces us to Liv, an 18-year-old recent high school graduate from somewhere in the States. Through her early posts, we get hints at who she is. The posters in her room show us she loves iconic movies like Mad Max and Akira, and her photo of her ramen and the selfie she took prominently displaying her Amazon order of a 10-pound bag of gummy bears hints at a love of junk food. She's a little aimless, a little bit drifting. Her friends have their future plans locked down, her bestie Natalie's going to Brown, while the third member of their trio, Julian, is moving back to France. But all Liv has going for her are a couple of university rejection letters. Still, it's summer, and she makes an optimistic post about trying to make the most of it, getting herself a job at an ice cream parlour and spending her days off playing Pokemon Go in the park. It was 3 years since the summer of Pokemon Go, but I think I too back then was playing Pokemon Go in 2019, even though now I have moved on to Pikmin Bloom. Anyway, Liv captures herself a Porygon one sunny afternoon, and then happens to notice something, unusual in the background of her in-app screenshot. Quick question. Liv captures her photo of a glowing crack in the path. Should I poke it? I'm gonna poke it. Now, I've heard of virtual influencers before. Characters like Little Michaela and even Barbie from the Barbie vlogs comes to mind, or AI characters like FN Mecha, what with the rising tide of machine-generated influencers and machine-generated everything cropping up increasingly in the 2020s. But these examples are all 3D character model based, with Barbie in her own 3D animated world and Michaela and Mecha sort of AR inserted into real world imagery. Liv, by contrast, is entirely drawn, as is her world, though whenever she would receive "I love your art style, I love your drawings" comments on her Instagram and Tumblr, a mirror feed where she would also respond to asks sent to her inbox, Liv would always reply with, "Thanks, I mean they're just photos I take with my iPhone," and doesn't claim to be the real world artist drawing each illustration. For Liv, in Liv's world, these are just the quick snaps she takes of her day-to-day life. The posts on Liv's feed are never out of character, never breaking us from the immersion that Liv is, just a girl from the present day, thrust suddenly 1,000-ish years into the future where, luckily enough, she can still use Instagram. And it is through her Instagram feed that we get to see Liv's story unfold. Before I go any further, I would highly recommend checking out Liv's Instagram feed if you want to check out her story for yourself. As there will be spoilers from here on out, feel free to pause this video and head over to the Live in the Future profile, scroll right down to the bottom and read her post from the start, then come back. But if you're happy to have me walk you through the story, then join me now as we dive into Liv's feed and catch up with her now that the portal spit her out who knows where. Like any Gen Z kid, I assume she's Gen Z. She's aged 18 in 2019, which makes her born in like 2001. That's Gen Z, innit? Liv is sure to document everything thoroughly on her phone, and her first post-portal post is a parallel image to her Hello Summer one, showing a row of suburban houses, though where there was blue open sky in her neighbourhood, behind this street is a high concrete wall and a built-up city beyond before a sky possibly red with pollution. Or maybe that's just how the sky looks in the future. Liv's followers comment on the amount of red eye on black background posters littering the street, and Liv starts to make her way through the unfamiliar neighbourhood, making feed posts as she goes. We get a shot of the inner city, with a cinema showing like the billionth Star Wars sequel. There's a children's park, a library, and an ominous statue of a man in a hat, protected by a glowing cyberpunk moat. Satellite trees with CRT screens show familiar TV shows, and then that red eye shows up again. She passes a bookstore with a discouraging sign and then ends up at a billboard, proclaiming where she's ended up. Sector 1362 in the City of Enlightenment, on the 30th of July in the year 3000. Liv, understandably confused, takes a break to make another Instagram post. So she's in the year 3000 with no idea how to get home and no idea why she can still make Instagram posts at all. Also, like, can someone tell my mom I'm here? Like, tell her I'm good, but also 981 years in the future. Now, our girl isn't just gonna lie down and take this. She's got that, well, better make the best of it attitude, so sometime later she picks herself up and continues to make her way through town, taking photos as she goes. She passes haunted bike racks and radioactive-looking Blockbuster, which apparently has made a comeback 1,000 years after its closure, which is nice. And the later it gets, the more worried Liv is. Okay, starting to get into survival mode now. Tried Google Maps, but don't think that's gonna work out. So Insta works, but Maps doesn't, okay? We're establishing some rules to the narrative of the world that she's in. Instagram and Tumblr really is Liv's only link back to her own time as of now. She keeps walking, passing the ominous City Hall building and failing to get anything from this futuristic vending machine on account of having extremely outdated money. She gets as far as the woods at the edge of town only to find it's now a toxic swamp, and so turns back and heads for a sketchy looking motel. Her followers seem for the most part to think this is a bad idea, commenting, hey, don't go in there, and in her next post of the room itself, Liv seems to concur. She saw that ghost coming up through the floor and said, okay, you guys were right.
I'm out of here.
She eventually winds up at this rent-a-pet store, which surprises her by accepting her vintage dollars and allows her to rent this cute green cat for a week, because she's got her priorities straight, obviously. The details on the poster in the background crack me up. I always enjoy these kind of dystopian future stories where there's heaps of like, everything's fine, just don't stare into the torture void type public service messages. Anyway, Liv's thrilled with her new kitty, opening up her Instagram stories to name suggestions, but while she's out just like rolling around on the grass outside, enjoying the company of her new cat, things take a turn, and her next post is a snap of some government vehicles. One like a bin lorry labelled cleanup crew, and the other a neighbourhood watch van complete with a man in black. Liv has enough time to write in her caption that she's just heard gunshots, and then, in the next post, who do we see but the same Rent-A-Pet employee who swoops to her rescue like Haku does for Chihiro in Spirited Away, pulling Liv by the hand through an opening in a fence back to town. They stop in an alley, and we get now a good look at her rescuer, Alix, who's got this broody, emo, ghibli boyfriend thing going on, complete with a cool-looking prosthetic leg. He confronts her about where she came from, pointing out that her money's obviously out of date, and tells her that his boss called the authorities on her, but he fired off his gun to distract the neighbourhood watch and then saved Liv. Liv's next post is from outside the morgue. You've got to admire her dedication to posting about everything that happens just so her followers can stay informed. The morgue building looks futuristic, factory-esque, and we can see through the fog that there's a van dropping off what's presumably a body to the facility. Next thing we know, Liv and Alix are inside, and Alix tells her that she sticks out like a sore thumb without a watch, so now Liv is going to take this dead girl's identity. Suddenly things are like super dark and super intense, but I love the levity that Liv gives to the situation, what with her saying she practically begged him for someone with a less ridiculous white girl name, but this was apparently her only option. Alix seems to want to drop Liv off at Brayley's address and just have her step into Brayley's life completely, but with Brayley mysteriously not having any address listed, Alix takes her to his house instead. I should note that Liv's followers have been pointing out that the number 423 has been cropping up a couple times now. I I didn't notice this, but eagle-eyed commenters there. And Alix's house number is no exception. He lives at number 423. Anyway, he has got sweet digs and heaps of pets, so the rent-a-pet employee salary must not be too bad. Alix's home looks really fun and eclectic, and doesn't particularly reflect his personal sense of style, which seems to be, at least from this first look, just like monochrome black. But it definitely suits Liv, who's perfectly happy to take up residence in Alix's living room. And now Liv finally gets a taste of the food of the future, and this is something I absolutely love about this project. The alien-looking future food, it's just too cool. Like, it manages to still look kind of like it would be delicious even with the weirdness. We've already seen the funky futuristic vending machine with things like Sprite for babies, Miasma the beverage, shrimp tempura Kit Kats and vanilla-flavoured Doritos. But now we get these pretty normal-looking pancakes with admittedly abnormal-looking syrup. From the logo, it seems to have come from the same trees that Liv saw in the toxic swamp the night before. After this point, Liv pretty much just throws herself headfirst into life in the year 3000. Her first stop is a pawn shop full of exciting treasures like Punk Barbie and a one-eyed Furby, so she can sell her now incredibly antique Claire's jewellery for the modern currency, the scrip, which she immediately spends on some new outfits. We continue to get a look at this futuristic world that she's now occupying, showing us the futuristic changing rooms is giving Monsters Inc. door storage, a sparking future coffee she got from somewhere, and various spots around town as she starts on her most pressing task, finding a portal that will send her back home. Also, Pokemon Go still works on her phone in the future, bringing her total working apps up to 3, Instagram, Tumblr, Pokemon Go. Taking a look at her story highlights includes a DMs archive, one with her friend Natalie, who she's the first to contact about being stuck in the future, and then another conversation with her mother, who apparently had to make an Instagram account just to contact her daughter, as regular texts and calls don't work. Liv also lets us know that it is not only possible in the future for it to literally rain cats and dogs, but that she's also officially adopted the green cat, now named Agent Spaghetti. I can't tell if she really did take all her follower suggestions into account. I'm sure at the time she probably did post the submitted suggestions in her stories. Who knows, those aren't in the highlights, but she's adjusting well, and maybe starting to get more comfortable in the future and living with Alix. Liv's stories also show some snippets of conversation with Natalie, who apparently is a mega genius, about possibly jailbreaking her ID watch, and her next feed post is proof of Natalie doing just that, showing us a look at Liv's Unison ID avatar, used for Watch Talk, the FaceTime of the future. We also get a look at the kind of content that Enlightenment City citizens get on the daily, plenty of emergency alerts about daily hazards, reminders to go for monthly R&R that clears the minds, a message from Neighborhood Watch that gets immediately redacted, but not before we see a shadowy figure standing over a bloodied corpse. There's also advanced Tetris to play, a peek at Liv's text with Alix to look at, and finally, a swirling meditation screen, a very hypnotic sort of spiral. It's really giving Futurama Hypnotoad, the Futurama vibes are there.
The Hypnotoad.
Alix alludes to most of the citizens being brainwashed, so no doubt that's part of it. There's a whole lot of government conspiracy going on, and that continues to be shown in the background of Liv's posts as she's going about her daily life. In this one, while she's out shopping for ingredients to make empanadas, we see a bloody trail on the floor and a hand inside of a freezer. She does manage to make those empanadas despite, the struggles, and she feels like she's getting somewhere with the rather frosty Alix. She's sharing a family recipe, she tells him about her friends and her family back home, but when she tries to ask about his, he goes quiet and disappears from the room. The next morning, Alix has left Liv an apology note for shutting down on her, and also a plate of apology Starfruit Void Syrup Miasma cookies. What was I saying about the crazy but weirdly delicious food? I would absolutely destroy this plate of cookies. I don't doubt that they were bomb, as Liv describes. Liv's next few posts are back to what's become her usual slice of life posts, and that's sort of how the story goes. We get a lot of, posts from Liv that are just like, here's me, just live my life, and then there'll be something where it's like, ugh, plot, and then we'll go right back to just she's chilling at home. So she shows us a portal that's opened up in town that definitely won't lead her back home, but is a cool photo opportunity nonetheless. She meets her neighbour, who is a literal giant Indian ringneck parakeet, and reminisces on her former life back in 2019. Keen anime and manga fans will surely be able to tell what she's got on her shelf in this post, and we get to see a bit more of the present day pop culture that she does like. The next big update is that Liv's friend from the past, Natalie, has worked out how to connect her VR headset to Liv's watch via her iPhone so that she can call Liv across a 1,000-year time gap. Things are going great for Liv now. She's got a strong link back to her home through Natalie, but she's spending a lot of time getting closer to Alix. She posts here about playing Mousetrap with guns together, and Alix hints at having had an anti-corrupt government stance from very early on, as he played this game a lot as a child. It's the winter season now, and real-life Christmas 2019 coincides with this post Liv makes, sharing that she's feeling homesick, but Alix noticed this, and he got her a Christmas tree for the house. Cute. Like, the ship is sailing. Sue me, I want them to be together. They are adorable. I love how through Liv's posts we can kind of get a hint of the little crushes they seem to have on each other. Ladies, get you someone who will get you a tree to celebrate a centuries forgotten holiday just to cheer you up while you are temporarily displaced. The next holiday Liv celebrates with Alix is New Year's, and while it coincides with the New Year's 2020 of the real world, apparently Mr. Prez in her world declares that he's just going to keep the year as 3000. Anyway, Liv posts this cute mirror selfie of Alix and herself dressed up for it, and it's cute. I love it. The slice of life posts then continue with the selfie of Liv and Alix out getting ice cream. Hers is strawberry, his is body of Christ flavoured. And then we're back to the mystery. Liv posts a short video clip of the street outside the house, and a glimpse at a figure in white standing underneath the lamppost. Liv's mother DMs her about it, asking who that is. Liv jokes that it's probably some government assassin or something, which of course it turns out to be. Though this post showing a magazine cover with that same lady in white, Blanca Prez, the most accomplished assassin around, on the front, doesn't make it clear if Liv has really realised that yet, because she seems more interested in Marco Slime, the real star of this issue. Liv's posts continue. She and Alix go out to dinner and she gets a very weird fortune cookie, and in between encountering more scary CRT screens and meeting the future versions of Girl Scouts out selling cookies, Liv attends a mandatory President's Day parade, presumably coinciding with the real world American President's Day. I don't know, I'm not American and I'm not looking it up. And we can also see that Blanca Prez is up there on the parade float next to Mr. Prez. Liv's followers speculate on whether or not Blanca is the president's wife or daughter or something, and then Liv receives a mysterious message from a supposed government employee who says they can generate a portal and send her home, as long as she comes to meet them alone. Self-preservation instincts only barely intact, Liv decides fuck it, we ball, but not before leaving a note, and good thing, because she blacks out as soon as she gets to the rendezvous point and then wakes up in a holding room. With help from her followers, Liv attempts to escape first by unscrewing a grate and then by inputting a passcode. That 423 that keeps popping up comes in handy, as it turns out to be the code to unlock the door, starting Liv on her exploration of the facility she's woken up in. She asks her followers for a choice once again, asking if she should go towards the laboratory or to the Dream Energy Extraction facilities, and in the next post, she does head towards these dream facilities. I'm not sure if the Liv team would actually have been truly taking notice of what the commenters were suggesting and then going by whatever they voted for, or if they already had a pre-planned storyline and there would have been a predetermined outcome either way. Considering the level of detail in the illustrations and the frequency of posts, I might assume the latter, but you never really know. Anyway, at the dream facility, Liv snaps a photo of a figure strapped to a table through a cracked window, and behind the figure are some big orange glowy tubes of presumably extracted dream energy. Her next post is a blurry picture of Blanca chasing her down a hallway. Again, love that Liv's first thought was to run, but only after snapping a photo and posting it. Following that, she then posts a selfie with a big smile and a thumbs up, looking a bit dishevelled while Alix facepalms in the background. In the caption, Liv explains how he came to her rescue once again, and I think this is just fun. There must have been a whole off-screen chase sequence there, heaps of high-stakes stuff that would probably look extremely cool in an animated or live-action series, but due to the medium, all we get to see is one blurry photo of Blanca and then the aftermath. Sure, we don't get to see the action, but it does feel more real in a way, if that makes sense. Like, Liv was pushing it, taking the photo mid-chase, but I feel like there's just enough to still get the point across. It's fun, and I like it. I really like it. We next hear from Blanca after another blurry picture post from Liv, a selfie this time of herself and Agent Spaghetti, and it turns out that Blanca has left Liv another note. In the caption, Liv says, "Why she snuck in overnight and stuffed this note into my shoe? Who knows? She is so extra." So things are heating up for Liv. Now she's got this so-called accomplished assassin watching her, though she doesn't seem to be paying Blanca too much mind. She's still hoping to get home though, and just waiting around for portals to appear isn't cutting it. Plus, now she's learned about dream extraction, after not getting very much info on the topic from Alix, she decides to take matters into her own hands, and decides to get herself something we should all have. a library card. And with this new power, she's able to check out 3 books to help her with her main problems. 1 on portals, 1 on dreams, and finally 1 on making tiny hats for cats. We also get another moment with Natalie, who's now able to walk around and explore Enlightenment City alongside Liv via VR and is no longer confined to video calling via Liv's watch. And we get a peep at some more future food. This is apparently a double deep space burger with ocular fries. According to a reply on her Tumblr, Liv thinks it doesn't taste at all like a burger, more like a lemon custard donut of sorts, but it's good. I would try it. In the ranking of weird foods we've seen so far, currently, it looks like this. In between discovering a shortage of toilet paper due to an infestation of toilet paper-eating creatures from an unknown dimension, though of course coinciding with a side effect of a certain real-world global pandemic, and listening to weird music by a group called Unanimous Girth, Liv begins to work on her research and delves into her library books. The Portals one disappoints as it turns out that important information had been redacted, though the Cat Hat one yields a success, and she takes a photo of Agent Spaghetti in her new chef hat, alongside some interesting and exciting looking future spaghetti. Around town, Liv observes what seem to be specifically government-approved portals leading to ominous holiday destinations here. Jamaica, but with really sharp sand, evidenced by this returning holidaygoer's bandaged feet, and guarded by a guy I have to assume is Neighborhood Watch based on his suit and badge. Liv also celebrates her birthday by starting an Instagram Draw This in Your Style challenge. Here's my version, check it out on Tumblr and Instagram at Really Hardy Draws. And later, Liv also has a movie night in with Alix and Natalie. The options are Jaws, Back to the Future, The Room, and Shrek. And I did find a post on Tumblr showing that Shrek was what the people had chosen. Liv also drew up Alix's review of the movie. It's cute. Later, Liv tries the Dreams book, but is just as disappointed as she was with the Portals one, as it turns out that the pages are blank after the contents page. And staying on the Dreams topic, Liv's next post is a heartfelt plea to her followers for advice. She tells them that she'd heard Alix sort of screaming himself awake at night, tried to talk to him about it, and then he got mad and left the house. So she asks her followers, she just wants to help, and do they have any advice? And this, again, I like the way the Liv team does this something dramatic happened off screen sort of thing, where all we have is Liv filling us in on what's going on after the fact. In her next post, Liv claims that she's taking her followers' advice, and we see a snap of her hand holding up a can of Alix's favourite soda, which she leaves on the counter with an apology note, taking a cue from when he did the same to her with the Void cookies. The next post is another faceless one, paralleling the photo of Liv's legs as she looks down at Agent Spaghetti, but this time of a view of the city sunset, and we can see not only Liv's legs but Alix's too. In her caption, she explains more of what happened off screen, and how Alix eventually opened up and explained what happened the night that he woke her up, that he suffers from recurring nightmares, and that afterwards he left to go and get R&R, which is something that we've heard about, a monthly mandated retreat that clears the mind. Alix says it makes him spacey for a few days, but it's nice because the nightmares stop for a few days. Liv says that she's grateful to Alix for opening up, and Alix says he appreciates Liv in return. I really just like the visuals of these two images side by side, the similar composition with just the legs, but then the contrast of the dark, lonely interior versus the brighter outdoor scene with the pair of them together, the birds flying, the classic freedom symbolism. It's cute. I love it. So we have some hints now at Alix's tragic backstory, and the plotty stuff is ramping up again a little bit too. Liv drops off her useless library books, but then notices a flyer advertising a college championship Z-Ball game, which looks like baseball crossed with Ninja Warrior crossed with the Mojoverse. Liv, ever charming and burning with a need to understand what the heck she just witnessed, goes to talk to the pitcher, Gunnar, and they take to each other immediately. Gunnar gives Liv a tour of campus, but notices her iPhone, people don't have phones in 3000, and asks if she's a collector. Bro, you collect those? So do my parents. They find a lot of weird stuff since they're cleanup crew members. Liv's followers, picking up on this, where Liv is a little more obtuse, chime off in the comments suggesting that maybe she shouldn't get too close to Gunnar in spite of his cute himbo-like appearance and demeanour, because of course, cleanup crew are in cahoots with the Neighbourhood Watch, and responsible for disposing of interdimensional objects, and likely interdimensional travellers too. Still, Liv is all for hanging out with Gunnar some more and dragging Alix unwillingly along too, but not before she and Natalie discover another portal that lets a group of miniature dinosaurs in. And I just love this little interlude. Like, she decides to take them home and get a terrarium for them so they can be added to her and Alix's massive menagerie of pets. Anyway, Liv does manage to get a group hang-in with Alix and Gunnar, but it turns out that Alix is not too keen on Gunnar, who, under the watchful eye of the Mr. Prez statue, seems to totally buy into the whole Mr. Prez government propaganda, and Alix warns Liv to be careful around him, and then Gunnar doesn't really appear again for a while. Instead, we see Liv spending a lot of time at home or out and about with Alix. They have a drawing day down at the swamp. We can see of the pair of them that Alix is the better artist, although I like Liv's drawings. Paint each other's nails and give each other temporary tattoos, and Liv also does a lot more wandering, visiting the ominously signposted swimming pool, checking in with the neighbours, and noticing an advert for the only government-approved cereal on the market, Dreamios, as endorsed by not only Marco Slime, but also by senior advisor and badass assassin Blanca Prez. I'm not sure if it's been mentioned before, but yeah, turns out Blanca is the president's advisor. Liv also dabbles a bit in archiving now too, announcing that she's uploaded Unanimous Girth's EP to Spotify and other platforms. I personally could only listen in the UK via YouTube, but I could have a look at Unanimous Girth's Spotify page and get a look at their album art too. All the music sounds weird as hell, very discordant notes played on a variety of instruments, a lot of sampling, including a section from President Starbadge Longneck's famous Balcony Hawks speech circa 2538, used without permission. Liv notes that she might have heard something from Mr. Prez buried in one of the tracks, and that track is I Slipped on Your Watery Grave, thanks to YouTube user at TinoMolkany1786, who timestamped it 3 years ago for me to find it now.
This dreamer's readings are strange.
Who is it?
Someone by the name of Walls Rhonda? Wait, this person isn't even registered in the facility.
What do you mean they're not registered?
We accidentally connected to someone outside of
Well,
it.
disconnect that!
Yes, Mr. Prez, sir.
I have something very important to tell you. Is that so? Yes, please listen closely. Never forget this. Go on. Okay. You're listening, right? I'm listening. Good. Oh, splendid.
I can't really tell these two male voices apart. I suspect that male voice 2 is still Mr. Prez, but I really can't be sure. They just sound too similar to me. Anyway, this opens up a lot more questions, like who is the woman Mr. Prez is speaking to in the first conversation, and who is the mysterious dream subject connecting with someone outside the facility or even dimension, and then who are the two male voices having the second conversation? What are the overlapping voices saying? No clue, and Liv didn't have anything else to say on it either. Next on the gram, we get to meet a new character, Faye, who joins Liv and Gunnar at Liv's first casual Z-ball game. Liv instantly likes Faye, who she thinks is super cute and sweet, but her unusual appearance doesn't escape Liv. Liv's followers now bring up the possibility that maybe Gunnar's parents might be okay after all. Sure, they're cleanup crew, but they've likely adopted Faye, who's probably, given her look, an interdimensional traveller too, just like Liv, rather than turning her over to the neighbourhood watch. Also, Liv mentions in her caption that Faye seems familiar but she can't place why, and then it turns out that yes, we've seen her before. Faye works at the library and was in fact the one who gave Liv her library card. She can also be seen a few rows in front of Liv at the Z-ball game, and she can be spotted in one of the changing rooms with Gunnar way back when Liv is buying herself those new outfits. Liv's been lamenting that she doesn't have any money of her own, she can't even buy these alive gummy worms, but on a group boba outing, where Alix insists on buying Liv's drink even though Gunnar offers. Faye tells Liv that the library is hiring, which means a new location has been unlocked for Liv. She has to answer a quiz before she can get hired, and the answers are, you guessed it, 4, then 2, then 3. Mr. Prez's slogan is, in dreams we trust. And then boom, she's got the job and is already taking selfies with Faye in front of restricted areas. Things are looking up for Liv. Now she's gainfully employed in a place full of knowledge that just might be able to get her home. But in the meantime, she's also got more general life posting to be doing. She posts a cute pic of Alix trying to wrangle all their pets into one photo as per apparent follower request, and introduces all of them properly by name for the first time too. We also see a Mr. Prez cloud in the sky, Liv realizing her neighbours are Sims from The Sims 4, she posts a homemade tag yourself meme, discovers glowing mice living very cozily in Alix's walls, she takes another dressed up mirror selfie of herself and Alix, this time for Halloween, in costume as Fiona and Farquaad. It seems he really took to Shrek too. Liv and Alix are taking cute and cool aesthetic photos of each other now, and this ties into some real world stuff. Liv had discovered a time-travelling mailbox early in her time in the future, but it's now finally revealed its true purpose, to function as a real-world merchandise shop, with Liv in the Future themed t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, hats, prints, and pin badges. Liv shows off her hat in this post, and then we dive back into the plot. Liv's been taking full advantage of her new job at the library after noticing a familiar face while sorting out old newspapers by date. On the cover of an issue from the 5th of July 2990, we see a young Brayley Lynn Benson from the local orphanage, proudly holding up her winning boat from the annual Prez for the People boat race, the same Brayley that Liv's Unison watch belonged to. Liv says, didn't know she was an orphan, but her followers notice a familiar looking kid in the background of the image. Alix, and we know it's Alix because, like all good cartoon characters, he's had the same hairstyle his whole life. Also, he's got a prosthetic leg. Liv, taking notes of these comments, decides to do a little snooping. She just so happens to notice that the library has a bunch of official records and just so happened to have access to them, and so found a list of kids at the Sector 1362 orphanage dated in 2290. Brayley is on there, and so is Alix. She also notices that Alix's last name is redacted too. Mysterious. The next post on the Instagram feed is a snap of a TV screen showing a presidential message declaring it to be the year 3000 for the third year running. Liv's caption also says, "Sorry for being MIA," so at that point I checked, and I noticed that there had been a gap of about a month between this post and the previous. I think in general, it's either like only gaps of a couple days between posts, or it can be up to 2 weeks, but a month is long for an update to be stalled. Next, we have 2 mirror selfies of Liv showing off her cute threads that you could presumably buy in her online shop for yourself, and then it's another month till the next post, and this one is still just about merch, announcing a Valentine's Day sale. A couple of weeks later, Liv posts a selfie with Natalie announcing that she's back, and today she and Natalie are hitting up a sketchy carnival. They take a ride in the Dream Juicer and get forced into a dream state that miraculously Liv is still able to take iPhone photos sort of within. And this one is very spooky and atmospheric, and also very similar to Alix's recurring nightmare. We can see that the central figure is a child Alix, presumably having had his leg recently amputated, and he's surrounded by spooky dark figures with glowing eyes. In the foreground of the image, we can see the back of a figure in a lab coat with white hair, although not in the same style as Blanca. Some of Liv's followers throughout the story have speculated that Alix and Blanca may be related or connected in some way, so this character is obviously connected with Alix, could be a parent. It's hard to say, whatever the case. This situation rattles Liv, seeing this sort of vision, and she declares that she needs to speak with Alix at the end of her caption. Her next post very much reads like an on-the-date pose to me. Like, look at this picture. They're on a date with a photo of Alix sat opposite Liv at a table, and he indulgently allows her to swipe a blob of cake frosting onto his nose. Like, I do think he's down bad for her, or he would never let her do that. And also, I do think that the Liv team definitely had crushes on Haku from Spirited Away and Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, because, like, look at him. Is he not, like, their child? Anyway, much like in her previous sort of introspective posts, this one has a long caption detailing an off-screen conversation with Alix, where Liv comes clean about snooping into Alix's past via the newspaper and orphanage records. Alix tells her what he does know, that he was separated from his dad when he was 8 years old and put into an orphanage where he stayed until he aged out of the system, but that his childhood memories are hazy. He tells her that his dreams and memories are so blurred together that he isn't sure what's real, and doesn't answer when Liv asks if he misses his father. This boy is just, the tragic backstory is just off the chain. One of the commenters says, "Not to be dramatic, but I would die for Alix," and babes, same. And then, on the 6th of March 2021, Liv makes a different kind of post entirely, announcing that her story is now available to read in tap-based fiction form on a new app called Litty. The first photo in the carousel is of Liv holding out her phone, showing a very Wattpad-esque app with a Live in the Future story complete with cover art, summary, and 10 available episodes. Swiping through the post gives a preview of what Litty looks like in-app, with new artwork in a slightly simplified though no less appealing art style, accompanied by chat bubble type character dialogue with narration in between. We get a look at what seems to be Liv's first meeting with Alix at the pet shop, then hanging out with Gunnar, complete with a redrawn version of the photo of Gunnar taken by Liv at the group hang. Next, we have a conversation between Liv and Alix in presumably the morgue, and then, notably, a conversation between Faye and Liv, where Faye seems to accidentally let slip and confirm to us, the audience, that she's not from this dimension either. The final slide on the post is a short screen recording of another conversation between Liv and Alix, presumably from just after he rescues her on the night they meet. Now, I remember this announcement. I also remember thinking, okay, are they pivoting to this app for the rest of the story, or is this like supplemental material for the off-screen action and conversations? I will admit, I wasn't entirely thrilled by the idea. I liked the fact that we didn't get the whole picture, and that we had to piece together what was going on via Liv's posts, and the things that she chooses to share with her followers, or even notices to share with her followers. The collaborative aspect of being able to see other people's comments, sharing their theories about the little details in each image was a highlight for me, and the immersion of everything being filtered through Liv's lens and perspectives made this drawn girl feel so much more real and engaging, even in such a wild and fantasy setting. Everyone likes a bit of pretend sometimes, but at least I certainly do, and it was fun to dip into her world with every Instagram post. Still, I decided that I would give this Litty app a go. If I remember right, it did start with a dream sequence that was completely new, starting us off with the sci-fi fantasy elements from page 1, rather than the slower build-up through Liv's normal life that we begin with in the Instagram feed. I have to be honest again, it didn't grab me the same way at all, with the straightforward, this is Liv, this is what's happening to Liv right now, this is what she's thinking, this is what she's feeling, written out narrative. It was not at all hitting for me. There wasn't the same kind of mysterious element with clues to be picked up by the hints in the Instagram images and captions, so I didn't bother reading it, and I uninstalled the app, assuming that the Instagram account would continue to update alongside the web novel and I'd still get to see Liv's story unfold in the medium I preferred. It certainly seemed that way, at least when it came to the next post on Liv's Insta about a fortnight later, though this time it was Gunnar behind the keyboard, posting a selfie holding up a quiz and asking Liv's followers for help with his history homework. Shrek was there. It made me chuckle. A couple days later, the next post was another Litty one. Not too worrying, just a bit of harmless promotion and a slideshow of some cute background artwork from the app. The one with Liv standing in front of a giant portrait of Mr. Prez does pique my curiosity in the present day, but apparently back then I either missed this post entirely or I did see it and it wasn't enough to make me want to try the Litty app again because I didn't. And then 3 days after that, Liv made another post. An image of Liv blowing a kiss to the camera and a caption that says, "Thank you for all your support." Uh-oh. Oh no. This is a goodbye post. After thanking her followers for their support, the comments, the fan art, the buying of merch, she then announces that she has to go on a little break, and that she's working with an amazing studio to bring her story to the next level. She says, in the meantime, you can enjoy the first 10 chapters of her story on the Litty app. And that's the last post from Liv. I don't remember if I saw this goodbye post at the time. If I had, I think maybe I would have tried again with the Litty app, or maybe I saw it and I just thought that the Litty app wasn't worth it. I don't remember. But in any case, I didn't read the web novel version, and now I wish I had, because unfortunately, the Litty app is now defunct, thereby making the Live in the Future web novel lost media. Lost media alert, everybody. Calling all you lost media heads. Oh, we've got some lost media over here. I've done a fair bit of searching, but I haven't found even one Litty screenshot from the Live in the Future web novel anywhere online bar the ones on Liv's accounts. It seems it simply wasn't archived by any of its readers, or at least if they did, then they didn't post it publicly. I guess that makes this section something of a desperate plea. If you too are a Live in the Future fan from around the time that the Litty migration happened, and you did happen to screenshot or screen record the web novel chapters, Please, please, please let me know, because as of now, there's very little to find, bar the couple of Litty posts from the Liv accounts and some plot points summarised by TV Tropes users. And if true, most of it seems to be as I suspected, sort of like filling in the gaps of the action and conversation that happens off screen. For example, TV Trope tells us that allegedly in the web novel, after Liv is rescued by Alix on night 1, she comes up with a convoluted plan to get them both into the morgue, and when they get inside they have a whole monster chase sequence, presumably this monster. And even though Liv still gets Brayley's watch, in the web novel her name is spelled Brayley McKaylee Smith rather than Brayley Lynn Benson, really taking that crazy white girl spelling up to an 11, as well as changing her middle and last names. I also noticed that the wallpapers from Litty we saw on Instagram were cross-posted to Tumblr along with the Litty text screenshots, and these included a couple extras that weren't on Instagram, including 2 more that featured Gunnar and Faye. The first one is of Gunnar, Liv and Faye inside what seems to be a vehicle, presumably it's this one from the Litty cover art, and was uploaded as both a wallpaper and with text. In the text, we learn that the trio are on a drive through the hills. I don't know if we've seen very many hills in the Insta feed, but you know, it seems like a nice moment. Friendship, you know, joy. This one shows Faye standing in front of the viewer, presumably Liv, with a tray of goop, eyes and fries, while we see Liv has ordered the double deep space burger with ocular fries again. It's possible the second image could slot somewhere in the Instagram storyline with Liv and Faye working together at the campus library, and maybe here they're taking a lunch break in the cafeteria, but it's the vehicle picture that has me curious. I'm not 100% certain, but when comparing it to some of the vehicles we've seen in the Instagram feed, it's possible that this vehicle may even be a cleanup crew van that Liv and co have commandeered. It could even belong to Gunnar and Faye's parents. It kind of seems like the Litty version of the story wanted to get us expanding the cast sooner and increase Gunnar and Faye's importance earlier, rather than having the slow build up to them that we get in the Instagram feed, although without knowing just how far along the Litty version got in the storyline, I can't be sure of this. We also get, through the Litty screenshots posted on Tumblr, a look at a character I have to presume is a villain. We've not seen his face before, but considering the silhouette of the hair, he could be this figure from the Neighborhood Watch as seen in Liv's daily watch updates, which could possibly make him some sort of Neighborhood Watch employee or even assassin. Anyway, in this screenshot from the text, it seems that Liv has managed to tap into some kind of video call recording of this character via her Unison watch. It also seems that in chapter 10 of the Litty version, according to TV Tropes, Liv would have learned about just what the cleanup crew does to interdimensional beings, which I think is only kind of hinted at in the Instagram feed, and we as the audience would have seen a meeting between Mr. Prez and a character named Helios about a portal project. Could he be the spiky-haired guy from the screenshot? And this would have taken place right before Liv attends the college Z-Ball game for the first time in chapter 11, which, if TV Tropes is right, means that there must have been at least one extra chapter released on Litty before the app shut down, with who knows how many more chapters afterwards that there's just no record of. Litty themselves made their last Instagram post in July of 2021, and though the app is unavailable to download in the present day, I couldn't find any way of learning just when the Litty app itself shut down. While scrolling through their kind of trashy looking feed full of honestly kind of bad graphic design and poor photo edits, I have to admit it doesn't inspire much confidence or seem like a particularly good app to host the Live in the Future story. There did appear to be some posts featuring some of these stories that had specialised artwork similar to Liv, which I'd be maybe more inclined to click on, but then a lot more stories that just used half-assed stock images. And in the present day, notably, there is no sign of any of the Live in the Future content at all, even though there are plenty of posts from around the time that the Live in the Future account was cross-promoting the Litty app. While I obviously don't know what went on behind the scenes, I have my own theories. Live in the Future as a project was one of 7 virtual influencers created by a studio called Shadows Interactive. They may have had an Instagram account at some point, but I couldn't find one today. However, their website still remains at the time of recording, showing us that along with Liv, who last posted on the 19th of March 2021, they also had Astro, last posted 27th of April 2021, who was similar to Lil Michaela, a digital character transplanted into real-world photos and videos. There was Ralph, last posted 17th of July 2020, a kind of ugly cartoon bodybuilder man who seemed to also be the play character of a Temple Run style game. There was Josie Flo, last posted 12th of August 2020, a 15-year-old Filipino-American TikTok bedroom pop star who posted song covers with her guitar on TikTok, and probably warrants a video of her own because I really do like the concept and the character design, plus, you know, Filipino representation, let's go.
Uy! Philippines! Philippines! Woo!
And Axel the Axolotl, last posted 6th of November 2020, a character aimed at teaching kids about exploring, friendship and all that. There were also Forever Dog and Ratakashi on the top banner of the website, but they didn't seem to have character bios or Instagram accounts. It was the Live in the Future account that was the only one of these virtual influencers that made a goodbye post. Obviously, within Shadows Interactive there would have been different teams for each character project. Liv seemed to have lasted out the longest, and in the goodbye post, to make it seem all the more final, the caption reads, "And lastly, to get out of character, we're finally going live with some credits, making Live in the Future the only one of Shadows Interactive's virtual influencer projects that had its creative team credited publicly. Hannah Kiefert, the creator, writer and director, Mika Tanagi, the artist, and James Yaulo, music and sound. The whole project was produced and funded, according to this post, by Litty App Official." My wild and off-the-cuff, completely unfounded theory that is completely my own opinion and not based on any sort of evidence is that maybe the Liv team also felt like Litty wasn't a good match for Liv and wasn't the best sort of platform for her story to develop on, so maybe they managed to have meetings and leave their contract with Litty or Shadows Interactive or whoever it was with the rights to the story and characters intact, Litty therefore removing any promotion for Live in the Future on their platform, but then also freeing and enabling the Liv team to be, as suggested in Liv's final post, working with this quote-unquote amazing studio supposedly aiming to bring Liv's story to the next level. I was able to find an interview with Hannah Kiefert, which at least for me shed a little bit of light on the ending of the Live in the Future project. Kiefert says that Live in the Future was her first major job, and wow, I mean, like, what an incredible one. She was not only the writer but the creator and producer, and she says, "This was such a fun, unique and rewarding experience. I mean, how does one tell a fully fleshed out story with only posts, captions and interactions with fans? But I realised the process wasn't too dissimilar from photography. I was just telling a story through still images. Through the same company, I then got to write and produce stories for a visual literary app, something akin to Webtoon, just more lit-based rather than comic-based. This was also a unique storytelling exercise, tap-based short sentences, only 1,000 words per chapter. I got to flesh out Liv's story a bit more through this medium, and got to create 2 new stories, an angsty fantasy drama and an LGBT high school rom-com. This tells me that the web novel did of course have its value for expanding Liv's story. As Kiefert says, she got to flesh out the story more through this medium, and being able to explore what was previously unseen would certainly make the whole thing more well-rounded. And now that it's gone, I wish so badly that I hadn't poo-pooed it at the time. Like, I want to know all the Liv lore that I can get, and it's devastating that so much of it could be lost to me. And to us. Both Shadows Interactive and Litty seem to be shuttered now, and I can't really tell which would have been the parent company, but I would assume it was Shadows. Kiefert's interview seems to suggest that Live in the Future was produced in both of its forms by the same company. So I suspect there could have been some higher-up, money-driven decisions that caused the story platform migration. It's possible that the company may have wanted to shift its focus away from virtual influencers, which, you know, undoubtedly would have taken a lot of effort and creative power. I mean, the illustrations, how much would they have cost? Going into more of the tap-based narrative, following the trends of more of the Wattpad, episode-style storytelling that certainly has been in vogue in the past, although these days I don't know just how popular that sort of app is anymore. I personally have really kind of gone off them, where I used to be like an avid Pixelberry Choices player, you know, I haven't played it or any similar apps seriously in years. There certainly have been a lot of that kind of apps out there. The Litty app may just not have been able to keep up, but again, this is all complete speculation. I'd be interested to know if Shadows Interactive commissioned Kiefert to create the Liv project, or if she and her team had started it independently and were then given the opportunity to have it funded. Kiefert states that she moved into more traditional storytelling writing after Live in the Future ended, and she's worked for Warner Brothers as well as freelance and personal projects. Most recently, she's written a pilot for an animated series, and I'm excited to see how it goes and what kind of stories she'll make next. But can I just get into how good this story was, even incomplete? I loved how incredibly detailed everything is, how strong the characterization is for Liv, our point of view character, and how fun it is to see this crazy dystopian future filtered through her goofy, optimistic eyes. The way she captions posts feels very true to a teenager. I don't know, I'm almost 30 now. To me, the way Kiefer writes Liv feels very much like a real girl to me. Something I haven't mentioned yet, but that I thought always really helped to emphasize Liv's realness, was the fact that she did seem to have such interactivity. On the Tumblr account, Liv would reblog posts that pertained to her interests, mostly cute cat pics with the occasional meme post, and would respond to user-submitted asks, and similarly, there were in-character Ask Me Anythings on her Instagram highlights, including one where she gets Alix to answer the questions too, fully rounding out Liv's character, as well as giving us more of an insight into Alix. After all, feed posts are one thing, but Instagram stories are a huge part of any influencer's shtick, and it was great that the Liv team made use of them. And the artwork, which undeniably was what got me interested in it. I actually first saw it just while scrolling through Tumblr myself one day back in the year of our Lord 2020. It was a compilation post of the freaky future food, and the art style really just captured me. I was like, look at that freaky future food, that's so cool and interesting. And then obviously, you know, there was character art in between, and this, you know, this is the compilation post. This is the post that got me into Live in the Future. Like, how good is that? Mika Tanagi put so much work into every single one of Liv's quote-unquote iPhone photos. Her use of colour is so good, like the contrast of the true-to-life colours in Liv's present-day neighbourhood compared to the bright cyberpunk neons and dark, grungy underbelly of Enlightenment City. She put so many tiny details in the world, making everything look lived in enough to be believable while also seeming larger than life and just cool as hell. And the outfits everyone is wearing. Liv has such great fits, those future outfits she was picking, and Alix looks effortlessly cool. And did you all notice that in all of her hologram appearances, Natalie is only ever wearing socks and not shoes, even if she's out and about with Liv, because of course, back in Natalie's time, she's just at home using her VR headset. I mean, the details. And we only get to see a little of Gunnar and Faye, but I love his futuristic jock style and her cute alien plant girl vibe. And of course, I've already mentioned how much I love the food, but it does bear repeating. I love the food. Also, this is how the tier list is looking now that we've looked at all of the fun food. Here it is. This is my rankings, and they are correct. I think it's such an incredible piece of work, and while I think it's definitely a shame that it ended so suddenly and abruptly, I imagine it might just have become unsustainable for its small team to keep up with. It's a lot for just one writer and one artist to do, especially in this modern world where making art like this isn't just about making the art, you know, it's also unavoidably about money. Hannah Kiefer touches on it a little bit in her Canvas interview actually, but no matter what, I always love going back for a reread. Making this video had me finally sit down and really take in all the details, really just look at every little thing drawn into each illustration, scrolling back through all those old comments to make sure I hadn't missed anything. It made the story all the more fun to revisit, because there are things I missed the first time around that I discovered while I was working on this video. I hope that the Instagram account continues to stay up so I can revisit Liv's story again and again, and I hope you watching this video might just do the same. And if you have any more pieces of the puzzle, if you've got screenshots, screen recordings, anything like that from the Litty web novel, I would love to see it. And if you ever bought any of the now undoubtedly incredibly rare Live in the Future merch, I would love to see photos of how it actually looked, since everything on the Liv page is drawn. Yeah. Please let me know. You can DM me on Instagram at ReallyHardyDraws. It's my drawing account, but it's also the one I check the message requests on most frequently. So feel free to slide into those DMs if you've got anything to share. We have no way of really knowing if we'll get to see more of Liv's story. Last official word is, of course, that she's in talks with a studio to bring her story to the next level. The innovative use of the Instagram feed as a storytelling device will always be my favourite, but I truly think she deserves a full artist studio-backed, properly funded chance to return in an animated film or a graphic novel or a cartoon series, but those things all take a long time. And if it's being worked on, then it's being worked on, and if we get something, we get something. We may not, but I'd like to think that there's always a chance. Liv's last post signs off with, "Thanks again, I love you all, and as always, I'll be here chillin' in 3000. Hope to be back soon. I'll always remain hopeful that someday we'll see another update from Liv, and we can at least be happy in the knowledge that she is indeed chillin' in 3000. Maybe she and Alix finally get together. Maybe they meet Gunnar and Faye's parents, get to the bottom of some portal-related mysteries. Maybe they defrost and team up with Blanca to overthrow Mr. Prez's tyrannical government and make way for a better future. Maybe Liv does make it home to our present day, or maybe she'll realise that being Liv in the future is what she was always meant to be. Thank you very much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you stuck around this long, thank you. And you will see me again if there is another one. Goodbye.